Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Secret Spaces July 5th edition. We're going to kick off here in a bit once we're able to get all the relevant folks up here on stage. Just give it a few minutes. Please feel free to share the link to this space with the broader community. Let's pack the room for the Onenet team. They're here to talk about Bushi. So we're excited to hear from them about what this all has to do with Secret Network and the broader Cosmos ecosystem. We'll get them up here on stage in just a sec. But for the meantime, be patient as we pack the room here. You'll notice we've got a bunch of relevant accounts here on stage with Bushi and Onenet. Make sure you give them a follow while you're here. We've also got Leon here from the Onenet team who's going to be talking with us today. And as always, we have Patrick here from the foundation, from Secret Foundation, who has a little bit of information on how you're going to be able to claim this week's Secret Spaces badge for attending. But let's give it just a moment before we start for real. Again, please take the link for this space. Feel free to share it around in your communities, especially if you know people who love gaming, blockchain-based or otherwise. Today is a very gaming-focused event. We're excited to hear exactly what Bushi is, how Onenet is leveraging Secret in everything that they've built. We got a bunch of topics that we'll have to run through. We'll kick off in just about 60 seconds, but let's see if we can't get a few more people into the room before we kick off. For those of you who are already in the space, listening intently, may as well kick off with just that quick announcement, that quick housekeeping around Secret badges. You'll notice there's a pinned tweet here, and in that pinned tweet, you'll see a link to this week's Secret badge. But you might not know what the badge code is. So Patrick, what's this week's Secret Spaces badge code for people who want to prove that they've been to yet another awesome edition of Secret Spaces?
The code is PlayBushi, PlayBushi. And inside the private metadata is a little teaser for Bushi as well.
Whoa. So I can claim this badge and I can get a cool early look at Bushi just for claiming the badge. And it'll prove that I am one of the awesome people who showed up to this week's edition of Secret Spaces. This sounds pretty great. All right, play Bushi it is. All right, let's kick off then. Now you guys have the code, you know what to do. Go grab yourself a Bushi badge, go get an early look at the game. Like I said, while you've got Bushi and Onenet here on stage, make sure you're following those accounts. But let's kick off. So we've got Leon here from the Bushi and Onenet teams. We're going to start with a personal intro, like we usually do. So we're going to let Leon introduce himself, do like a quick introduction of himself, but then we've got a lot of time to talk about what Onenet is, how it ties in with Bushi, how everything got started, all the things that people really want to care about. It's a super unique use case coming to Secret. So handing it over to Leon. Leon, welcome to Secret Spaces.
Cool. What's going on, guys? Well, thanks for having me. But like you guys said, my name is Leon. I am currently working on Onenet and Bushi. I've been around the Secret Network for a little bit now. Mainly started off as like a product designer, working on projects like Secret DAO and the Secret Nodes Explorer. And then now I kind of ventured off into our own journey of Web3 gaming and building, things around Web3 gaming. So that's kind of me, and I'm really happy to be here.
Amazing. Well, welcome. And yes, we've seen you around the Secret ecosystem. For those of you who have been around here for a while, you've probably seen Leon in a committee call or around the Telegram or around the Discord. So it's awesome to finally hear from you in a dedicated way to talk about what you've been building. So let's start from the top. What is Onenet exactly, and what's the tie-in here with Bushi?
Yeah, great. I'm super excited to talk about this. So, Onenet, I guess we can start off with Onenet, is kind of a gaming distribution platform, or it's a video game hub that is being built on Secret Network. And what you can do on Onenet is things like host your games, launch your games, manage games. Right now it's like specifically Web3 focused, but not obviously. we look to add, traditional games, so the traditional market games onto the platform. And you can kind of do everything that you need to do for all these video games in Onenet, like manage your NFTs, manage your coin, whatever it may be for that specific game. But it's all just like one platform for everything that you need to do for Web3 gaming. And then to kind of tie into Bushi, we felt like it was really necessary to kind of like prove ourselves as gamers and developers. So we've been working behind the scenes to launch our flagship title game, which is called Bushi, which is a third-person competitive shooter, kind of focused towards esports, kind of focused towards the competitive market. And that'll be the first game that's launched and hosted on Onenet, which is exciting for us. It's a rather large scope video game. I don't want to say too much about it until later on, but I think that is probably one of the larger scope video games that you'll see in the cosmos. And there's so much that we have to kind of showcase, but I'm super excited to talk about it here.
Sweet. I mean, we're just starting to scratch the surface, right? So let's get going. Maybe at least start then at the beginning, right? What the origin of the idea was, how long you've been working on this, and then we can come into the present day and I guess some of the more recent history, like the grant process and some of the ways you've been able to support the project in the early stages. I think best is just let's follow the chronology, see how you got from there to here.
Yeah, so I guess I'll just start a little bit from the beginning, right? So my team and I, we're avid gamers. Like we've been playing video games for, I don't know, it has to be it has to be years now. But I specifically have kind of a background in esports and gaming in general, and I have tens of thousands of hours on video games. And when my little spree was done of playing those video games for like hours on end, I kind of realized that there's something missing in terms of like reward for players, right? So I spent all this time playing video games, and at the end of it all, my account or my time was just sitting there without really much of a reward, right? And so the team that I'm with now and I kind of partnered up with, they have been building Bushi for I'd say like a year and a half, maybe 2 years now, just kind of working behind the scenes. And we thought that it would probably be the best idea to try and incorporate some kind of NFT, some kind of token into this video game just to tackle that problem of gamers spending hours on end on video games and not being rewarded for it. So that's kind of like how it started. That's kind of the problem that we saw. And one of the ways that we wanted to fix that problem or tackle the problem was just building a Web3 video game that would reward the player. But one that kind of came into play because at least for me, I saw a kind of like a void in the community for Web3 gaming, which is like there's so many video games out there or Web3 video games out there, and there's so many people trying to tackle the market, and it kind of gets confusing with all the different tokens that you have, all the different kind of platforms that you have. You have to download multiple video games. If they have a launcher, you have to download that. And I just thought that it was really not user experience friendly. And coming from product design, user experience is like a really, really important thing for me. And so what I thought, or what we thought would be a really good kind of addition to this flagship title is just kind of like a hub where people can manage all their video games in one platform. That's kind of where the name came from. So, right, it's like Onenet. And the token is called One Token. So you really only need one token, one platform, one hub to do everything that you need for Web3 gaming. At least starting off with the Secret Network. So we're building on Secret Network, and hopefully all the video games or most of the video games that are launched on Secret Network or in the cosmos in the future will be able to be launched and hosted on this platform. And that's kind of like where the background came from.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, it's great to hear that you guys are both passionate about what's been happening in the Web3 space, but also obviously passionate about gaming. I've said many times before, building anything on a blockchain is so difficult as to almost be impossible. But some incredible people have been building incredible things. And then to build a super compelling game experience is so difficult as to almost be impossible. Right. But thankfully, people are building incredible games out there. There's, from indie studios to AAA studios, all kinds of amazing activity in the gaming space right now, and new kinds of discoverability thanks to platforms like Twitch and things of that nature that make it a little bit more accessible to the average user to see these communities evolve in real time. Now, to try to smack them together, build something involving the blockchain and something involving a top tier gaming experience, you're taking two impossible things, you're trying to do them at the same time. That doesn't make it any easier. So obviously you guys are taking on a huge challenge, but your passion for each side of it seems clearly a big piece of why you think this can and will succeed. And we're excited to have you be a part of the ecosystem as a result. So let's talk a little bit more then. We talked about the origin, the idea, and the project. What has it been like trying to even just build a foundation for this from a funding standpoint? Like what were the struggles that you had, or what did you learn along the way as you kind of went from there to here? Obviously, it's not enough to just want to do something. There's some very tangible questions that need to be resolved. So talk us through a little bit of that. There might be some people in the audience who are looking to build their own projects on Secret or in the broader cosmos that'll be really happy to learn from your experience.
Yeah, so this is actually a topic that that I specifically like have like some history in, which is like building a product in behind the scenes, or putting your head down and building a product first and being able to market the product first more than anything. I might go off on a tangent, but I want I want to talk about how there are a lot of projects out here, and this is no shade to anybody, by the way, but there are a lot of projects out there that want to market kind of like a promise before a product. And I don't really think that there's anything wrong with that. It's just not the way that we decided to do things. What we wanted to do was like put our heads down for a year or 2 years and really build the product first, and then be able to market that product early. And I think it kind of makes sense with this like two-part project where we're making a platform, because specifically for the Web3 gaming space, or the gaming traditional market in general, you want to be able to earn the trust of your community. And so that's what we're trying to do when we are launching this video game, or when we're marketing the gameplay itself. We want to be able to show people that like we have the product, it's done already. Well, it's close to done already. And it's not just a promise or a concept that you'll have to wait for 2 years or 3 years to actually be able to use or play. And so that's where we started. Where we started like just doing our own regular side gigs or our careers, and a lot of us working at like AAA studios like Blizzard and EA. I was obviously working for Secret DAO and Secret Nodes. And then we have some other team members who are also actually either just got out of a contract from a different like Web3 gaming space, or other contract from the traditional market. And during those times, we were just building, with all the noise. Obviously, we just came from a pretty bull market and just turned into a bear market. But during that entire time, we were just building, and it came to a point where any project will come to a point where you actually need some money or you actually need some funding to finish your project, right? And so as I was working over at Secret DAO, as I got integrated into the Secret network, obviously there's the grant process, and I thought that, hey, why not give it a shot to try and see if our game is worth anything to the Secret network, if we can incorporate the privacy in some other way, and try to get some funding to finish this game a lot faster than what we had expected. And so that's what we did. We applied for a grant from Secret Labs, and it was actually a really smooth process, and eventually we were approved. And once we were approved, that kind of gave us the go-ahead to just fully dive into this whole thing. and, you know, take time away from our I guess you could say our previous careers and just go full time into working on this. So I have a rather large team working on this full time, and we're at the point now where we've gone public, and now we're just using that funding to just carry us the way through and just kind of, you know, set a base for our alpha, and then we have some other events coming in place that'll hopefully heighten the base for alpha. But yeah, that's the development process. We've been working on it for years, so um, I'm just hoping that, you know, a lot of people could take some pointers from this team to really put your heads down, start building, and then you can market your product. But again, like I said, the teams that are marketing more of a concept, I don't have any problem with that. Just it's not the way that we were planning to do things.
Yeah, it's always great to be able to market something very tangible for people. So with that said, we're very curious to get into exactly what people can do to start getting access to the game. Like we bring these secret spaces together because usually the teams that are building cool stuff have really definite calls to action. It's not just like this will be done in a year or so, come back then. So what should people be doing now? Let's say they want to get access to the game, they want to get access to Onenet. Where should they be going? What should they be paying attention to right now?
If I can backtrack here and just talk about Bushi just for a little bit longer.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, just because I feel like I didn't do a good job in kind of explaining the video game for those who haven't been able to see any of the gameplay or anything like that. Bushi is a third-person competitive shooter, and within the game, you go into these like arena matches where it's I think currently it's like 5 versus 5 or 6 versus 6. We haven't fully decided what type of game modes. Well, we have game modes in place, but we don't know how many we're actually going to be launching with. But you go into an arena and you have abilities with your main character, and that character, you use your abilities to pretty much just, you know, either, I don't want to say the word kill, but kill your opponents and win the match through various ways. We have like things like death matches or search and destroy, so stuff like that you normally see in other video games. But within that ecosystem, you actually also have kind of these like challenges that you can do with your NFTs. And if you finish a challenge, you can unlock certain unlockable paths or skill trees where you can go down that path and kind of customize your NFT in certain ways. And of course, you have a base character's 3D model, and that 3D model, once you finish a mission and you unlock an achievement, then you can upgrade that NFT to showcase a different model to play. And from like tier 1 to tier 3, which is what we have now, the skins just progressively get cooler or more artistic, has more like, you know, detail in them. And through that, I guess your NFT becomes more of like a personal thing for you, or something to like put more time in, as that's kind of how we incentivize like playing the video game itself. And then furthermore, we also have like I said, it's geared a lot towards esports and competitive like play. So there's a ranking system where you just go into your video games like you normally do in like these bigger titles like Fortnite or Apex or League of Legends, where you go into an arena or a ranked match, and if you win, you gain more points or like more stats. I wouldn't say stats. Stats is a bad word, but you gain more points towards your ranking, and we plan to have like seasonal kind of rewards for those who have played or who have a rank. And that's how we're hopefully trying to build the community towards esports. But with that being said, it kind of ties into the whole NFT fundraiser that we're having. And the NFT fundraiser, so I think we'll be having 2 different NFTs that'll be coming out in August, probably mid to late August. But in that NFT, there's one that is the Genesis collection, which has a lot more utility involved with it. and there's one that just has alpha access for those who don't really want to deal with anything more than just the video game, right? So the NFT for the Genesis collection will include things like lifetime alpha access for any game hosted and launched on the Onenet platform. And just to note, our team also has a bunch of prototypes ready to be developed after Bushi. Of course, we're going to spend a lot of our time and effort for a good portion towards Bushi, but we have like prototypes in place, and we're ready to start building those. But we're definitely going to do our due diligence with Bushi. So lifetime access, they're going to be stakeable, things like DAO access. They're going to have eligibility for a guaranteed alpha exclusive skin that will be releasing either before alpha or a little bit after alpha has launched. So either one of those two. And that's just the very gist of it. But the lifetime access is the focal point of that NFT as well as a DAO access. And then we'll just have the regular alpha access NFT where if you don't really want to deal with anything relating to like the Onenet platform and you just want to play, you can just mint that one and that'll give you access to the video game. And I think that's pretty much how you get access to both platforms.
All right. Well, I'm going to reiterate, since we're almost halfway here, I'm going to reiterate a couple things. First, follow Bushi, follow Onenet. You'll see them on stage here. You'll see them linked in the description of the secret spaces. That's obviously the best way to make sure you get pushed updates about what's next for these platforms, how to get access. And you just heard it here too. The second thing is, of course, going back to the secret badge code. Patrick, can you please reiterate for us? You'll see there's a pinned tweet here linking you out to where you can claim your secret spaces badge today to prove you were one of the OGs who heard about the upcoming Bushi launch. So what is that secret badge code that you can enter in on Stash to claim?
Play Bushi. PLAYBUSHI.
Play Bushi. Play Bushi. That's the code. Claim your badge. There's something in the private metadata as well, a nice little sneak peek of what's coming. If this isn't visual enough for you, Twitter Spaces is fun, but it's not necessarily a visual platform. There is a video that is inside the private metadata. You claim your badge, free to mint. Go and watch that video. You'll get a taste of what's to come. So let's take it back then to where were we on Secret Spaces with the Bushi/Onenet team with Leon here. We went over a little bit where our idea originated, how we got through these phases of funding and development, how you can get early access to the game, as well as Onenet. So let's talk a little bit about Secret then in all of this. This is Secret Spaces. We're hosting this through the Secret Network account. Secret is being integrated, obviously, in some sort of way. So why Secret Network? Why did you decide that this needed to be part of the foundation for what you're building? And how does some of the, not just the technology, but how do some of the philosophies of Secret Network get built into what's being created over at Onenet?
Yeah, so other than the fact that I've been at Secret Network for a year and a half or 2 years now, and have just fallen in love with the community in general, there is also a very, I guess you could say, a missing link in the traditional market when it comes to privacy. And specifically, we wanted to make a focal point on the fact that there are very, very young people playing video games. You could probably, I guess I started playing video games around like 8 years old or so. And from then on, I've had like these, I guess, access to my mother's or my father's like information, like email address, password, and things like that, right? There's like a huge missing link of privacy in the traditional market, in the sense that these giant corporations, or there's just like, I guess, bad actors have access to a person's most sensitive information. And a lot of the times it's being held by a child or a younger person. And if there's a bad actor, out there trying to gain access to this information, you could probably link that sensitive information, like email or password, you can probably link that to something of more, I guess, pressing matters like a bank account login, or I guess email's pretty sensitive, you could probably say. So what we wanted to do at Onenet and Bushi is just make sure that we never really require access or require you to give access to any of that sensitive information, or we never have access or need to store any of that sensitive information ever, at least for the immediate future. Well, actually, for forever, in our opinion. So what we kind of decided to do is create an account creation process where you pretty much allow, or you create a permit through your Kepler wallet to create what's called a unique ID for us. And the only thing that we ever store is that unique ID. And then obviously you create your password, which is hashed, and we never really have access or store that. And really, it's just your way of keeping yourself safe from not only the community, but from even the developers themselves. So that's kind of how we're like incorporating some of the philosophies from Secret Network on that, importance of privacy and security for our users. Not only that, but obviously with the secret NFTs, we'll never really know who has what NFT unless they publicly say it. We wouldn't ever, I guess, need to see anybody's NFTs, have access to their NFTs, and the whole ownership thing of like blockchain in general. The users in Onenet and Bushi, they actually, just like with everybody else who has an NFT right now, they have ownership of their assets, right? So there's never really a chance for us to be able to, seize that from you or take NFT or a skin that you purchased and take that away from you. So those are like our really, really big like privacy features that we're incorporating into Bushi. And of course, just building on Secret Network, which is a privacy first layer one, is kind of, to me, it's kind of a no-brainer, but for anyone who doesn't know, it's like Secret is all about privacy, and it kind of just makes sense.
It kind of just makes sense. That's a good new tagline for the whole network. It kind of just makes sense.
It does kind of make sense.
It really does. I think what we struggle with more than anything else is just sort of awareness around these base issues of blockchain, right? The idea that public by default is more of a bug than a feature. What people really want is this permissionlessness, these open networks that can still preserve user privacy. And they just think that you have to choose between one or the other. You can't have the open platform without also needing open data to all users. And it's just not the case. And it's actually going to help us build better architected products to be able to have programmable privacy by default for all of these applications launching on the network, which is exciting. We're about halfway through now, but say what you're going to say, and then I'll start transitioning.
Yeah, sorry. I'd like to mention one more thing, right? And I guess this is actually something that I mentioned in a previous AMA, but we kind of also wanted to think about how we could start incorporating other markets into the Secret Network or blockchain in general, right? So I think it was Aztec that said, how do you ever plan to onboard the next 100 million users or something like that? We definitely, I think a huge thing that's kind of lacking in terms of like the Web3 gaming space is the fact that a lot of the traditional market isn't really thought about. And there are still a lot of traditional gaming or gamers in general that don't want to do anything with crypto just yet, right? So in order for us to kind of like onboard these users and just kind of expose them to the world of blockchain and show them that it's easy, we will have another, like, I guess, account creation process in which you don't need to have a Kepler wallet or any kind of token in general. So it's going to be accessible to those who are not really in the crypto space or in the blockchain space as of right now. But that's something that I just wanted to point out because I felt like there is kind of like a missing urgency to onboard these 100 million users or these traditional market gamers in general. And so that's something that we've been thinking about is how do we incorporate those users into a Web3 game without actually having to expose them too much to like needing to have a Kepler wallet, needing to know how to create a permit, needing to know how to mint something. And so generally what we've decided to do is open up this video to those who are not generally crypto users post alpha. So when the game fully launches, it'll be open to those who don't want anything to do with crypto, but will need to, provide, I guess, like an email and password. But that's just an option. So I guess another like philosophy that we kind of adopted from Secret is just the fact that you can have that option of making everything super private, not accessible to us, or you can go to the traditional route. And if you feel safe with it, then you can, do the regular email and password kind of, account creation process. Of course, we're still working on ways to make it like almost not accessible to us right now. We're still brainstorming some things, but I guess the main point of this little snippet is just it'll be accessible to the traditional market, because that's how we're going to be able to onboard the 100 million users, is by also catering to those who don't want anything to do with crypto yet.
Got it. I mean, yes, you've heard me say on previous spaces, and you've heard a lot of people in our ecosystem say all the time, how do we get a meaningful number of users into these ecosystems and embracing this private by default model? It's not that easy. I mean, especially if they don't necessarily care about privacy as much as they care about having an amazing game experience. So only with working with really great quality creators of game experiences, of art experiences on Secret, can we start to have this kind of this future for the network where we're onboarding people who may not even touch the core tech, but are still protected by it. That's what we're trying to offer for hundreds of millions of users, but we may not be wanting to put the privacy itself at the center. We'll want to put incredible best-in-class application experiences at the center. And it's great that people who are capable of building those experiences are also capable of understanding and amplifying the ethos that we're building with here at Secret. So that's really exciting. We're about 2/3 of the way through. And usually that's about the time that we start allowing people to stick their hands up. We can bring people up on stage if they've got questions about Onenet and about Bushi in particular, or if they've just got general questions for you, Leon, or for Secret, if they've got updates to share from around the network as well. We save that for the very end. But this is where you can start putting your hands up. We've got one more question before I start adding people to the stage. But again, it's an exciting one because it's about what can I do now? So what's the most immediate stuff then coming up here for Onenet and for Bushi? What should people be paying attention to right this minute that they can go away from this secret space and start getting involved in?
I think the most immediate like actionable items is probably, I guess you should definitely follow the Bushi Twitter as of right now. We're going to be releasing a lot more in terms of content. We're finally starting to ramp up on actually releasing more and more content. We recently just showcased our first map, which is called Temple, and we're going to be releasing the 2 other showcases for the 2 other maps called Bridge and Dohyo. So those 2 maps will be released, and you kind of get a little bit of like a background on the lore and the setting of Bushi in general within these videos. So those will be coming out very, very soon. We're also doing a showcase of the main character called Son Goku, and we're going to be releasing that fairly shortly here, I think in this month, definitely. So those are kind of things to watch out for. Hopefully that kind of like attracts your guys' attention, or attracts everyone in general. But other than that, in August, again, I want to reiterate that we're having our little NFT fundraising event. And we'll be having those 2 different types of NFTs, where it's alpha access, where you get the one with multiple different utility. And so if you guys are interested in that, I think that one will be on the Onenet platform. So definitely go check that out if you're really interested in it. And other than that, I think that's about it for now. Just watch out for some of the content and gameplay and different announcements. I guess we also have a little bit of other announcements coming up, but I'll just save those for when they actually post.
Fair enough. I guess that's enough alpha for one day. So that's super exciting. everybody hopefully paying attention to all those calls to action. And of course, if you forget about any of that, as long as you're following Bushi and Onenet, I'm sure you'll get another push from them. And we'll be sure to be sharing their announcements. We also pushed a blog post today, a secret feature specifically on Onenet and specifically on Bushi. So you'll be able to check that out on the Secret Network blog. If you just go to scrt.network/blog, you'll see it right there. We're also tweeting about it all day. You'll see us announcing it. So that'll give you something to read through and follow up on as well. I'm going to add Citizen 0x up here as a speaker to the stage. Since I think we've gotten through most of our main questions, then Citizen 0x, do you have a question for Leon and the Bushi team?
Yes. I guess I'm just figuring out how to use Twitter itself. And this Twitter space, I think, is a great thing for community engagement. And so as I go through like secret community space calls like this or others like Thorchain, Osmosis, Junos, like Cosmos ecosystem itself has the most engaged communities, but yet we're all divided. So, because we all have our brand, and I forgot who this gentleman's name was, but like if you start, I think it was Asacha at Cosmos Hub that said something akin to, if you start talking about brand, you're dead in the water. You're not going to make it. And I kind of agree with it because branding is as important as it is for awareness, which I love about Secret, which is you guys preface awareness over marketing. So I would tell people more awareness, less marketing, but there still is branding that needs to be recognized, like with your logos and icons and Thor's voice, and all these are brands. And so, but the division, so like my brand here that I come on, like my name is Travis, but my brand is Citizen. And the brand of Citizen is really to unite all citizens of Earth, right? So it is really about bringing Web3 technologies to benefit everybody. And when I see these spaces, it's kind of an echo chamber of its own brands. And I wish there was a way where we could put together the Twitter space going forward. And I hope to be a host where I invite some of these brand members into my echo space of Citizen, where we're actually talking about visions, architecture, design, tokenomics, beyond just the brand of, say, DeFi or NFT or privacy. I mean, we all need all of these. And I'm looking for that to create that space. And I'm hoping that Secret, Thor, and anybody that is in this Web3 space, I would encourage you guys to kind of spread out and mix outside this kind of chamber of our own brands. I'm a staker in Secret myself, but it's really disparaging to for people to not have awareness of what other chains are doing that are in ways contrasting but yet similar. And I think we could all learn from it.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate the feedback. I don't know, Leon, if you have your own perspective on all those comments. My only comment is we're constantly trying to bring new eyeballs into these things. And yeah, it's much more important for us to take something like this. This is being recorded, of course, and we're going to share this with communities after the fact. If you know people in gaming communities who are trying to figure out what's happening still in blockchain gaming, something that doesn't feel like a cash grab, but really feels like an advancement using the newest best-in-class technologies that Web3 has to offer, you can send them this space. You can send them the Bushi blog that we're writing up. You can send them to the webpage for Onenet so they can get a little bit more familiar with it. These are usually very long education processes. And right now, I think a lot of people outside the echo chamber are a little tuned out, and it might just be because they don't know what to pay attention to. Everything they were told to pay attention to was mostly prices, and prices are down. So we have to give them new things to pay attention to, new things to really get excited about. And I think between being able to leverage new kinds of core tech like privacy tech and new kinds of experiences like what's being on offer with Bushi, where the value is the experience itself, not the ability to make $1 billion. Now we're starting to get to something a little bit more sustainable, but it takes time to build those audiences. It takes time to build a large group of people who are being attracted based on the potential of the product itself and the ethos of the ecosystem, more so than the ability to, triple or 10x their money in short order.
Yeah, I guess a little bit on the more awareness and less marketing is a lot of the founders I mean, I'm nobody in crypto space, so nobody listens to me. But like, I follow obviously the founders because I'm very interested in the architecture and design aspects of technology and how it plays into the essentially the users, right? Because users care about tokenomics, and tokenomics has its own design features, and it's really a no-brainer at the end when it becomes assimilated into everyday use into the future. It's going to have to be easier and more accessible in terms of knowledge level. So education is really important, but education itself is also broken because it's just too branded, too condensed, and too structured. And so acquisition of information on a Twitter space like this becomes even better awareness mechanism than marketing mechanisms of education. And I love people like founders like Zaki and others, but like when they go on on Twitter space and start branding, marketing more than awareness and true information, by saying things like CFI is useless, it's just wrong, right? Because like who doesn't have a bank account, fiat bank account today to on ramp onto DeFi? And so we cannot be, as a founders, saying these things that confuses general public. That's what I meant by marketing, because we get kind of and Sunny at Osmos does a similar thing where they go too fast, and maybe they've kind of develop their own kind of siloed mindset of what is good and what is not, and they kind of make others as a evil, like whether it be sex or CFI, whatnot. We need all these aspects and all these tenets and all these tentacles of technologies to weave together, and we need to work together, not create enemies, because we need every bits of technologies to come together to make it accessible and more inclusive for everybody.
Well, I appreciate that. It's well observed. We definitely are trying to do our part to build a more cohesive, not only Cosmos, but beyond that, try to bring people together to pursue these ideals of the networks, right? And it's not one person's story to tell, even if they have an outsized voice or an outsized brand in the space. I certainly appreciate how much how essential it is to give more visibility to more voices at every level of the stack here. We're very anti figureheads within the secret spaces, well, within the secret ecosystem at large, right? Like people can speak on behalf of their own protocols and dApps and speak on behalf of their own validators, but to speak on an absolute basis for anything, and like having a Sunny, having somebody like that stand up and speak for the protocol, as talented as he is and as amazing as I find the Osmosis community and the Osmosis product, I do think it's healthier when the community has a large voice in the development of the chain, and there's just people who are here to help synthesize all of those voices into a coherent narrative that's inclusive, as opposed to existing to amplify a single figurehead's voice and allow them to sort of set from the top down what the voice or what the positioning of the network should be. So let me bring up. I know Patrick had a question as well, and he's also up on the stage. Patrick, what was your question? And I think it's for Leon, right?
Yeah, just about Onenet in general. I guess is a good way to think about Onenet is to kind of compare it to Steam Marketplace.
Yeah, yeah. So I get this. It's actually been a comparison that we've been getting more than we expected, I guess. But you could kind of, I guess, in a way, you could look at it kind of like Steam. I don't want to put the label on that, or like I don't want to put the stamp that it is a Steam competitor or anything like that, because it's different in many ways. But what we aim to do is kind of similar to what Steam does, which is kind of allow a platform for games to be hosted and easily accessible. So in that sense, it is definitely something like Steam. I guess another really big thing that we're looking to do as well is just to onboard, I guess, game developers over to launch on Secret Network, and specifically Onenet. So what we aim to do is kind of like do almost what we have been doing as well as a game studio. Is if there's a team out there that's looking to launch their video game, and it's just a video game, they don't really want to do too much like personal marketing or personal distribution of it, then they could always go onto Onenet and have their games hosted on that. So in a sense, it is somewhat like Steam in that sense, where it's super accessible and the marketing is there and the community is already there for your video game. However, I think in the alpha stages, it's not going to be like open for everyone just yet. I think we have to do our due diligence in making sure that the platform works correctly, that it's set up for these game developers to launch it easily, and to also vet video games that are on there specifically. We want to kind of, and I think this will be the last point on it, is that we kind of want to vet our game developers at the games that are going to be on Onenet, just to kind of filter through all of the current attempts at Web3 video games, just because there's so many out there. And we want to put the attention and the focus on the teams that, spend a long time building their, or I guess the time doesn't necessarily matter, but the quality of the video game matters. So that's what we kind of want to vet. But yeah, in that sense, we are somewhat like Steam. And are we a competitor to them? I don't think I want to say that. We could probably coexist, but as a lot of people know, that Steam isn't very crypto or Web3 friendly, specifically with their own like Steam marketplace and stuff like that. Ours is going to be more open than theirs, but yeah, I guess you could kind of say it very lightly.
Certainly not Web2 Steam. Very, very glad to see that there's much more of an embrace of the Web3 ethos with what Onenet and Bushi are doing than Steam has demonstrated for sure. Go ahead. It sounds like we got your hand up again, Citizen. But also, if anybody else in the audience wants to put their hands up now, now's your last and best chance to ask questions of the Bushi team or get your voice heard before we wrap up the space at the top of the hour.
Would you be incorporating the newly released 4907 into your game mechanism?
4907. If you
the EIP ERC 4907 that's getting finalized. It's an NFT rental mechanism, which is really unique for gaming.
I actually haven't looked into 4907.
I posted it a few days ago, so you can look at it. It's a double protocol, so take a look at it. It's one of the 30 token standards, and as we know, like the Ethereum is kind of plowing all the token standard mechanism that we all benefit from. So definitely dig into it.
Yeah, you know what? We've actually, if it's a rental process that I'm thinking about, then we've kind of thought about a way to kind of have these different NFTs be given to people for a short amount of time. If that's something that is, well, if 4907 is that, then that's something that we've thought about, specifically with the skins. These skins are going to be not like always being able to be minted, and there's going to be like a finite amount. So we've thought about allowing users or helping users kind of give those to people for a short amount of time, and then using that skin for a short amount of time, and then just have it automatically go back to the owner itself. So that's something that we've thought about. Maybe we can incorporate it. I don't want to put a yes or no on that, but that's something that I want to look into.
So if there are already games out there that have been launched in Web3, do you think you could work with those teams and bring their game to Onenet?
Yeah, actually. So, of course, we're building on Secret Network, and Secret Network right now is definitely our priority. But we are looking into the whole interoperability aspect of the Cosmos in general, right? So that's something that we want to do, is incorporate some of these other games that are already out. I think it'll be relatively difficult for some of the video games that have their own entire ecosystem already and have their own, base platform. But specifically, I've already been trying to contact a couple of these video games, especially these up and coming video games that are not fully released yet, to be launched on Onenet, and we're getting those conversations started. And then, of course, we have these other smaller studios that are kind of not a super large team, but are creating a video game. And we look to host those video games as well. But yes, interoperability is something that we really, really are looking to strive for. Nothing like fully decided yet on what exactly that looks like on the platform, but it's something that we're looking into.
Awesome. Well, we got 5 minutes here till the top of the hour. any other updates that we missed? Anything else that you wanted to communicate, or any last questions from the audience before we wrap up here? We're going to reiterate one more time the Secret Spaces badge code. Patrick, what was that Secret Spaces badge code? People can go look at the tweet here, go claim their secret badge for attending this week's Secret Spaces. You will find some really cool Bushi specific content in the private metadata, but first you need the code. What was the Secret Spaces badge code this week?
Play Bushi. PlayBushi.
Play Bushi. It's a great code and it's great advice. Really excited to see this coming to the Secret ecosystem. If people aren't already appreciating the rapid pace at which things are coming to the application layer of Secret across every vertical now, including gaming, but also obviously across decentralized finance, NFT creation and collection, access control-based applications. There's just a lot that people are experimenting with. Of course, now the next step is to get the millions of users onboarded into these applications to help bring us to the next phase of growth. In the meantime, though, Leon, anything before we wrap up here to point people to? Any other calls to action you want to restate?
Yeah, I think so I do see a couple of Cataclops holders in here just from looking through the names, but if you guys have missed out on the announcement previously, we just announced that the second playable 3D character is a Cataclops model. So if you guys have a Cataclops, you guys have access to play that skin immediately at alpha. So it doesn't mean that you guys have access to the game just yet, but so you would still need an alpha access token. But if you guys do have one and are playing the game, then you guys can play the second playable character, which is the Cataclops model. So that's something super exciting. We just announced that a couple days ago. And then other than that, I think just make sure to follow the Bushi and Onenet Twitter. Our website will be launching very soon, and we should just be pumping out content of the game from now until the launch. So just look out for it. If you see Bushi, go ahead and I guess send it over to me so I can see it if it's somewhere else. But other than that, I think that's it.
Amazing. Well, thank you for joining us today, both Leon and the Bushi OneNet team, and also all of you in the audience. We really appreciate it. We will get this Secret Spaces cleaned up and reshared. You'll always be able to access it here on Twitter. We'll also get it out on the Secret Network YouTube account. You can look out for highlights. Meantime, take a look at the Secret Network Twitter. You are going to see us promoting the latest blog post, which is a secret feature for OneNet and Bushi. That'll give you a little bit more information on how you can get engaged with their early community and how you can get engaged with the alpha. Don't forget to claim your secret badge. Don't forget to follow Bushi and OneNet. Please join us also back here next week on July 12th. We do Secret Spaces every week. So next week we'll be doing the same, usually at 5 p.m. UTC. So you'll see an announcement about that. That should be an exciting one. Stay tuned for more information about that coming to our Twitter. But in the meantime, thanks everybody again for joining. Appreciate it. We will see you again this time next week for the next Secret Spaces, everybody.
Thanks, guys. See ya.